Oh, gee, damn, they did a whole episode before we even started. Okay. All right. We are back. Y'all, what's good? It's your boy G alongside Alec Foster from the episode 1600.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for loving and showing this. We see it all online. We're really, really loving the growth that our community is building up. So continue showing love on IG, section.300, and on Twitter, section 300 pod. Make sure if there are people watching on YouTube here, make sure you subscribe to the show, and we'll definitely reach out to y'all and show love back. So, yeah, we are back today because there's a whole lot going on in sports, both NFL and NBA wise. NFL, my Ravens trying to fight for playoff spots and all that. We'll get to that later. There's a whole lot going on in the NBA as well, and that they just got underway this last week. Heading into the new year, we're almost at the new year, and within this first week, we've already had a whole lot of stuff going on. So definitely a lot we want to address. Where you want to start? There's a few topics we can go surprising teams, underperforming teams. There's a bunch of stuff there. Where you want to start, Alec?
Yeah, I think it'll be best to start off with the surprising teams because there's been a few teams that I think have caught people off guard. It's still early. Obviously, you want to talk about your boys, so let's get into those teams.
Let's do that. So as Alex said, there's been some surprising teams already this year. One of which is a team I mentioned as a potential team to watch, and that was the Sacramento Kings. They're already off to a 3-1 start, beating the Nuggets twice and the Suns once. And looking pretty good. De'Aaron's looking like the guy. Someone else I mentioned is one of the players to watch as a guy to take the next step into the top. One of the future top-tier point guards in the league, already on track to do so. Him and Buddy Hield have great chemistry, working things out. Marvin Bagley has come back and is looking pretty good as well. And then the draft pick, Therese Halliburton, who fell to them in this last draft, is looking like a fit off the bench for them, filling in nicely for what many people thought would be a big drop-off and losing Bogdanovich to the Hawks. So looking good. People say I've seen some crazy takes on Tyrese in this first. People are saying he should have went first in the draft. People think we're talking about how crazy he is. As you're saying, no, I'm not going to that extent or nothing like that. But I love the fit and how well he's doing already in Sacramento. So they're off to a great start, and I'm happy that they're doing so. So, yeah, definitely a team I wanted to shout out in this segment. So, yeah, any comment on Sacramento so far?
Yeah, for sure. Luke Walton, Coach of the Year, already in the running.
I wasn't expecting that.
I'm joking. I think the Kings will regress eventually, as expected, but they are off to a good start. They had a thrilling buzzer tap in by Buddy Hield, I think, in their first game against the Nuggets, and then they've kind of continued the momentum from there and beat the Nuggets again. So the Nuggets have some issues to address potentially too with those losses, but the Kings have been surprisingly good, and their young guys, as you mentioned, are playing well. I think Halliburton was a steal at the pick they got him at 12 or so, I think. And so potentially that backcourt with him and Fox could be something to build around going forward.
And that could be a potential nice backcourt. But I've also seen lineups where it's De'Aaron, Buddy, and Tyrese, and then Bagley and Rashawn Holmes down low. So they kind of bump him down to the 3 spot and just run. Luke was assistant coach on that Warrior squad with the Death Squad. I forgot what that team with that
lineup. With the Death lineup or whatever. Yeah,
just ran everybody to death and got shots up and did all the great things that they did. And while the Kings are nowhere near that. Still, just the ability to keep up speed, pace-wise, having those three in that backcourt, they've been able to do so. So, yeah, I like what I see so far. And in a season, in a shortened season that we're in right now, while I do see a fall off, I think if they start hot, they may be able to, even in falling off, maybe able to stick around and actually steal one of them playoff spots that we didn't project them to do so early on. So we shall see. I'm happy that they have a good start. It's only been 4 games, as we said, but we'll see what goes on going forward. So definitely want to salute them. For sure. What other teams did you want to shout out during this time?
Yeah, the Hawks in the East, we had them as one of our teams to watch for sure with the offseason moves that they made. They're one of the 2 undefeated teams still left between them and the Magic. They're off to a 3-0 start, so that's been good to see. Didn't expect them to get off to that good of a start. Trey's been looking special. I think he had like 30 points in a quarter in his first game this season as well, or in a half. So, yeah.
Is Russ going to be the NBA's Kyler Murray this year? in that he's going to be the young guy that we didn't expect to be in the MVP race this soon, but already appears to be that MVP status already. Is he already in?
You said Russ. Who are you talking about?
I said it's Trae Young. Did I say Russ? I said it's sorry. It's Trae Young going to be this year's Kyler Murray, NBA's Kyler Murray.
As far as like the trajectories, like potentially
as a young guy that we saw that had a great projection, but already is getting to those heights early on and could already be in MVP status. We saw Kyler Murray, everybody saying he was MVP status earlier this year. While kind of falling off, the fact he was there is a great testament to his ability. And I think Trae Young, I've seen people already saying Trae Young can make a nice MVP push this year if he keeps things up as he's doing right now as well. So do you see him staying in the race, or is there going to be a fall off as you saw with Kyler this year as well?
Yeah, I mean, well, the way that he could stay in the race is if they stay in like the middle of the playoff hunt. So like if they stay in like 4 through 6, maybe like he could potentially get in there, because I think we both had them towards the bottom of the playoff race, but in that playoff hunt, in our projections. So if he were to exceed that, I think he could stay in MVP talks. I mean, because he's going to put up points. I mean, he's that Steph Curry prototype, and potentially like a little bit quicker, not as big and strong, but a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker release as well too, and not afraid to bomb threes.
Definitely.
As the league is moving towards. So yeah,
he's a good passer too. Not a whole lot. He had that early. That might have been preseason, but a nice pass between the legs on somebody. And he's been throwing some nice dimes already too.
He's got the flair as well too.
All the flair and stuff. We talked about that last year with the Trevor Ariza stuff. So
he has
a whole lot of flair. So definitely gonna be fun to watch. And it just comes down to him staying healthy, and the team around him staying healthy as well. They already lost. Danilo's kind of already been tweaking stuff and all that.
Yeah, he's always dealing with injuries every season. Yeah.
But to your point about them staying high in the race, they're going to need guys like Danilo to stay healthy to stay up there. So he's going to need his pieces to stay.
They got a lot of wing players too, in between Horder and who else? DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish.
Definitely.
Bogdanovich, like you said too. So they got a lot of guys that can slot into those wing positions as well too. So
I'm looking forward to how the rest of the season goes for them. I'm excited for them. No, reject them low. I can see them trying to jumping up a little bit and stealing somebody's spot. So we shall see. Another team though that you mentioned that's up, still one of the undefeated teams, is the Magic. And we didn't see that coming. I definitely didn't. I thought they're going to be a big fall.
I had them still in the playoffs. I think you had them falling out, but
I had them falling all the way out because of the lack of Jonathan Isaac and just not knowing just who else was going to be able to pick things up around there. But Vucevic is an all-star-level talent. Aaron Gordon is a guy that we know definitely can hoop a little bit. Markelle, I'm glad that he's turned his career around. He resigned earlier this year and looks to be doing big things out there in Orlando. Cole Anthony on the bench is good. Fournier is nice. Terrence Ross, they got pieces. It just felt like them, even with that cast, they had that cast before and were already always at the bottom. And now without their kind of potential star player in Jonathan Isaac, they would fall off even more. But they picked up very nicely, and they may not stay atop of the East, but they'll stay in the race for a while. So definitely want to salute them. Yeah.
I think it was like a year or two ago that they kind of had a similar thing where they were like number one in the East for a while and ended up falling down, but still stayed in the playoff race. And I think that's why I still had them in the playoffs. Like all the players that you mentioned, they pretty much have the exact same roster as they had before, plus a couple young players and guys who are developing into solid vets. And Markelle Fultz, like you said, is great to see that he's finally like found a home and found his role and found his groove. He's may not be shooting a lot of jump shots, but he's found a way to make himself an effective player. I think the Magic will regress, as we said, but I think they will be a competitive team in the East still. Yeah.
Yes. And I only kind of pause for a second because I don't think there's going to be a big regression, but I think there's going to be major improvements across the rest of that conference. Other teams above.
A lot of teams with young guys who are improving and also figuring out their fits.
Yeah. Exactly.
Figuring out the new free agent additions, and so
some teams might peak a little bit too early and then fall off. In Orlando, we might be seeing that already kind of being on path to do so. So we shall see. But yeah, definitely salute to them. But another team that's been surprising, and another backcourt that caught us right off guard is Sexland, Cleveland.
Sexland, baby.
And Darius Garland and those boys out in Cleveland are off to a 3-1 start, I believe, and looking pretty good. Even without, I think Kevin Love is still out, and getting his injuries all worked out. But yeah, even without him, they're still doing a good job. Andre Drummond is holding down the front court, and Sexland, as they're now calling him, is holding down in the back. Pause. That just felt but they're doing their thing.
Out in the back.
Chill. They're doing their thing, and yeah, you have any words for them?
Plenty of words for Sexland. No, I actually, surprisingly, I don't think I've ever said this in my life, but I watched the Knicks-Cavs game last night.
Jesus Christ.
And it was actually entertaining, between Julius Randle actually going off on them, which he's kind of a surprise. I mean, we already know he's a talented player, but he's turned into that like true point forward this year already. Like he had a triple-double last night on the Cavs. Yep. But sticking with Sexland, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland have been fun to watch this season so far, with their on the court production. As you said, Drummond holding it down the front court. A bit of a surprise for Cleveland to get off to as good a start as they have. Credit to JB Bickerstaff, the head coach there, is finally his team. He's not just like subbing in for another coach they got rid of, like actually his team this year. So credit to him and his staff. He got those guys playing hard. Larry Nance has also played pretty well for them as well too. I think they're gonna have their issues for sure, because they're still a young team, and not the most supremely talented, but they're grooming their young talent. So I think they will fall in the standings. That's probably the one team of all the teams that we've just talked about being a surprise that will probably fall the most, I think. But credit to them playing well right now.
Yeah, definitely. So that, as you said, you were shocked that you were watching a Cleveland and Knicks game. I mean, they'll find myself do the same thing soon, seeing how well they've done to start. I definitely want to check them out and see what the hype that they now have gained is all about. Pardon the little pause there. Check them out, Cleveland and all these other teams that are looking good so far. I hope they continue having good seasons.